We're often told that when you're trying to eat healthier, the ultimate goal, the big win, is really seeing that number on the scale go down.
Hmm.
If the scale moves, you feel like you're succeeding. If it doesn't, well, maybe you feel like you're missing the mark somehow.
Yeah, it's definitely become the dominant metric, hasn't it? Weight loss as the main sign.
Yeah,
The proxy, really, for whether your healthy eating efforts are, actually working.
absolutely. But our mission today in this deep dive is to explore some really fascinating new research, stuff that throws a spotlight on a completely different perspective.
Okay.
It suggests that focusing purely on the quality of your diet can deliver some incredible health benefits, regardless of what the scale actually says.
Right. And we're drawing today from a pretty significant study for this. This was research published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology.
Okay.
It was conducted by researchers from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, working together with Ben Gurion University over in Israel.
Gotcha. And the core question they were really digging into is this. Can you genuinely improve your metabolic health, like in a significant way, through healthy eating, even if you don't actually lose weight?
Exactly. And to tackle that, they looked at a pretty large group, 761 participants in Israel.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. These were all individuals who were living with abdominal obesity. And they were already part of 3 big long-term nutrition trials happening in workplaces. You might have heard of them. The Direct, Central, and Direct Plus trials.
Ah, okay. So this wasn't some small sort of artificial lab setting then. These were real people following different diets for quite a substantial amount of time.
Precisely. Participants stuck to their assigned healthy diets, whether that was, say, a low-fat one, a low-carb, Mediterranean, or even a specific green Mediterranean diet for a long stretch, like between 18 and 24 months.
That's a commitment.
It is. And throughout this time, the researchers weren't just, tracking weight. They were doing really detailed assessments of all sorts of metabolic health markers.
And I guess when they analyzed the results across everyone, they probably saw pretty varied responses in terms of how much weight people actually lost.
They definitely did. It wasn't a one-size-fits-all kind of outcome at all. About 36% of the participants achieved what's often clinically defined as significant weight loss. So dropping more than 5% of their starting body weight.
Right.
Then another 36% lost some weight, but it was less than that 5% threshold.
Okay, so you've got those two groups who saw at least some movement on the scale, but what about that final group, the rest of them?
Well, that's where the real story is for this specific deep dive, I think. The remaining 28% of participants, they either lost basically no weight at all, or they actually gained a little bit. So, by conventional standards, you might look at this group and think their healthy eating wasn't particularly successful, at least not for weight management. They were essentially, you could say, weight loss resistant during the study.
And the really surprising discovery was what was happening sort of under the hood for that weight loss resistant group, wasn't it? Because even though the scale stayed put, their metabolic health actually saw some genuinely impressive improvements.
Precisely. That's the key takeaway. Even without shedding pounds, this group saw these really crucial benefits that impact their long-term cardiometabolic health.
Like what specifically?
Well, we're talking about significant increases in HDL cholesterol. That's one widely known as the good cholesterol, right? Helps clear other fats from your bloodstream.
Okay, yeah.
They also saw reduced levels of leptin. Now, that's a key hormone involved in regulating hunger and energy balance, so lower levels can be a good sign.
And didn't they also see a reduction in a particularly, concerning type of fat?
Yes, and this is critical. They saw less visceral fat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deep, dangerous belly fat that kind of accumulates around your internal organs.
Yeah.
It's strongly linked to increased risk of things like heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these aren't just minor cosmetic changes we're talking about. These are like profound internal shifts towards better health.
Wow. That's actually a really powerful message, isn't it? It totally challenges the idea that the scale is the only judge of success. And I think I saw that reflected in a quote from the lead author, Anna Isolka-Meir.
Mm-hmm.
She really framed this as reframing clinical success, calling it a message of hope, not failure, and emphasizing these are, quote, deep metabolic shifts with real cardiometabolic consequences.
Yeah, it shifts our perspective entirely, doesn't it? It really highlights that improving your diet quality initiates these beneficial biological processes that go far beyond just energy balance and, the number on the scale.
Now, just to be clear, though, the study didn't suggest that weight loss isn't beneficial, right? They did confirm that for those who did lose weight, they saw a whole range of health improvements as well.
Oh, absolutely. They did, and they were actually quite specific about it, too. They calculated that for every single kilogram someone lost, you saw significant improvements.
Like what?
Like a 1.44% increase in HDL, that good cholesterol, a nearly 1.4% decrease in triglycerides, a 2.46% drop in insulin levels, almost a 2.8% drop in leptin, and even a measurable reduction in liver fat. So yeah, weight loss absolutely correlates with health benefits, no question.
Okay. But the key insight here, the really interesting bit, is that the other group, the ones who didn't lose weight, they weren't just static. They were actively getting metabolically healthier in these really crucial ways. Just maybe via a different pathway or with different outcomes on the scale itself.
Exactly. That's the nuance. And the researchers even delved a bit deeper into why some people might be more weight resistant to diet changes than others.
Oh, interesting. What did they find there?
Well, they noted some trends, like the weight-resistant participants tended to be a bit older and were more likely to be women. But they also used some really cutting-edge technology to look at potential biological reasons.
Cutting edge how?
Yes, they incorporated something called omics tools.
Yeah.
This basically involves looking at things like genetics and other biological markers at a really, really detailed level.
Right.
And using these tools, they actually identified 12 specific sites on people's DNA where certain chemical tags, they're called methylation sites, seem to strongly predict whether someone would achieve long-term weight loss on the diet or be more weight resistant.
Whoa.
Wow.
So hang on. If I'm understanding this right, this suggests that a person's ability to lose weight on a healthy diet might not solely be about, sticking to it perfectly or just willpower.
Well, that seems to be the implication, yeah. As the corresponding author Iris Shai put it, it's not just about individual choice or discipline. She suggested it's possible that some individuals are kind of biologically wired to respond differently to the exact same dietary changes when it comes to weight loss.
Huh.
And that our understanding of this biological variability is, getting better. We're getting closer.
And that really circles back to the core message of the study so beautifully, doesn't it? Like Yeskolko Mir said, our study showed that a healthy diet works even when weight doesn't shift. It just shifts the whole conversation away from just that number on the scale to the broader, deeper impact of what you're actually eating on your internal health.
It really does provide compelling evidence that the quality of your diet has these independent metabolic benefits. It works on its own level.
They did mention one important limitation in the study, though, didn't they?
They did, yes.
Yeah.
The majority of participants in those original trials happened to be men. So they pointed out the need for future research to focus more specifically on women, just to see if these findings hold equally true across both sexes, which is, an essential step.
Definitely. For understanding personalized nutrition approaches better.
Exactly.
So, okay, pulling this all together then, what does this mean for you listening right now?
Well, I think the most powerful takeaway is incredibly positive.
You can make fundamental improvements to really crucial health markers like your cholesterol, your hormone balance, reducing that dangerous visceral fat just by consistently focusing on eating healthy. Even if the scale doesn't show the progress you might have expected or, hoped for.
It fundamentally redefines what success looks like in healthy eating. It's not just about dropping pounds anymore. It's about driving these deep internal metabolic shifts inside your body that actively reduce your risk of chronic diseases, regardless of your external appearance or weight.
So, considering that this research suggests biology might play a real role in how our bodies respond to diet changes for weight loss.
Yeah.
And given this clear evidence that focusing on diet quality brings significant metabolic benefits totally independent of weight, how should we, maybe both as individuals and, I guess, as a society, rethink and redefine what success truly means when we talk about health and nutrition?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. And what does this emerging understanding of our sort of biological wiring mean for how we might approach personalized dietary advice in the future? Something to think about.